The Void, Series 1, Episode 5. O Come, O Ye Faithful. Written by Richard Marcus Powell. Chapter 8. The Kadier fleet, or at least one of them, was located in the Namaste system. The Vanguard frigate was lucky that the fleet had not been on the gate, but on the exit gate leading to the next system, Torwin. The frigate was there long enough to see the Kadier fleet jump through. The Spearhead battle group jumped in and joined the frigate on the Torwin gate, waiting for the main fleet to catch up. They eventually jumped into Namaste and started heading towards the Torwin gate. Emerging from the slide, the task force started to gather once more, with the outlying frigates and cruisers making their way back to them. Status:
No change. We cannot currently confirm if the Kadier fleet is in the next system still, but there have been no new sightings or reports of any attacks.
Traveling at full speed. How far could they have progressed?
Only to the next system, Rockham.
There's a colony there, is there not?
Yes, sir. Rockham Vendette, Hannah confirmed. Food production colony, population around 80 million.
We have to keep them away from that colony, Schaefer determined. Captain Lassiter, are the crew of the Petrov ready to jump? Yes, sir. If the Kadier are on the other side of this gate, slide out immediately. If they attack you, we will jump and engage. If they do not, we will jump in and issue our ultimatum. If they are not on the gate, try and locate them, Schaefer issued. If they're not in the system, slide to the Rockham gate and hold.
Good luck, Petrov, Voight added.
Thank you, Liberator. Jumping now. Set the fleet to DEFCON 2, Schaefer advised.
Implementing,
Hannah responded. There was a tense moment as the HDR Petrov exited the system. The seconds passed slowly, the fleet holding its collective breath.
Torwin side of the gate is clear,
Captain Lassiter reported.
Good. Any trace of the Kadier?
We just pinged the Rockham gate, and we're just receiving data that it has recently been used. Long-range scan indicates Kadier fleet has arrived on that gate, Captain Lassiter added. Looks like the second fleet has nearly caught the first.
Fleet jump into Torwin, Schaefer ordered. Captain Lassiter, prepare for slide to Rockham gate, but only initiate when the Kadier jump out.
There was the shudder that racked the ship as they jumped, the fleet passing from Namaste to Torwin, almost instantaneously. When they reappeared, the Petrov was still present.
Initiate comms with the Kadier fleet.
Sir, the Rockham gate is registering activation. They're leaving the system.
Fleet, slide to the Rockham gate.
If we jump, it's possible we could be jumping into an engagement.
More than likely, Schaefer echoed. Hannah, when we arrive in Rockham and the Kadier fleet is still on the gate, try and group up the fleet. As we discussed before, one battleship covering each of our flanks, the rest of the fleet distributed around them. If we get too spread out, we won't be able to support each other as effectively.
I'll inform the fleet.
Lieutenant Maritzu, open the comms with the Kadier as soon as we jump through, Schaefer added. They'll probably refuse a handshake, so if the first attempt fails, go to an open broadcast.
Yes, sir.
Kane, how quickly can you identify which ships belong to which fleet?
It could take a few seconds. I'll have to identify all Kadier idents and remove all familiar idents, and that should give us a count of the unfamiliar Kadier idents, Kane explained. I will identify the fleet that has the larger number of ships and greater firepower.
Logic would suggest it's the fleet doing the chasing, Voight observed.
But is the Holy Empire doing the chasing, or this new faction?
The fleet started to emerge from the slide on the Rockham gate. There was no trace of the Kadier fleet. Every last ship now in the Rockham system.
Captain Lassiter, ready to jump again? Yes, sir. Same drill as last time. If they're on the gate, get out of there. Jumping. Move the fleet to DEFCON 1.
There was another pause of another few seconds, but this time the response was quicker.
They're on the gate, sliding out. Lassiter.
There was a pause of another few seconds. They could see the stream from the ship, and despite some frantic actions, it was still visible, which was a positive.
We're out. Both Kadier fleets on the gate and engaged. Can you get eyes on without putting yourself at risk?
We will slide back to extreme range.
If possible, try and do a sweep of all ship idents and feed it back to us.
Sliding back now.
There was another pause,
Schaefer stared at the stream from the HDR Petrov, watching as Captain Lassiter and his crew carried out their tasks. The stream continued unabated, and there was nothing to suggest extreme stress, so all was looking reasonably safe. For now.
Collating ship idents now, Lassiter stated. There's one hell of a ruckus going on at the gate. Any side dominating. Looks about even at the moment, but it's hard to tell. Until we get those idents, they all look the same.
Captain, I have received the ident data from the Petrov, and am now calculating, Kane informed.
Good work, Lassiter. Keep us informed.
Schaefer waited for Kane's analysis. Better they identify the ships before they jump so they could implement their strategy before the engagement. And there would be an engagement. The Kadier saw humanity as lesser beings. They weren't going to respond well to an order to vacate Republic space. The best they could hope for is they would be distracted by their current battle and prioritize that over engaging them. Captain, there are 38 Holy Empire ships and 29 of the state ships. 67 in total, Kane announced. Composition is roughly similar to ours, but the greater number of ships puts us at a disadvantage. Only if they fight together, Voight pointed out. While they are fighting each other, we have the advantage.
Commander, whilst common sense would suggest that this is the Kadier we're talking about, their hate for us may well outweigh their hate for each other, Schaefer reminded. Prepare for the worst.
Yes, sir.
Hannah, how do the figures plug into your simulation?
Running the projections now, sir, Hannah anticipated. Current estimates predict a costly win.
Expected losses?
Around a third of the fleet. Heavy damage to the rest.
Is that with the Kadier united?
Yes.
And what if they remain divided?
I'll run a simultaneous projection.
Lieutenant Maurizio, put out a call to Republic Command. Let's get as many ships as we can. Even a few ships could help more of the fleet survive a confrontation.
Projections showing a loss of around 12 to 14 ships with a divided Kadier fleet, Hannah interrupted. Only a few iterations run, though, so it's a very rough projection.
Flight Commander Sokolov, are the fighters prepped? All fighters are prepped and ready to launch. Fleet, prepare for the jump. We will try negotiation first, but I fully expect this to fail. If they fire upon you, do not hesitate to defend yourselves, Schaefer commanded. Follow targets as they are called, but notify us if you're the target of focus fire and we'll switch targets.
Sir, Republic Command states ships are being reassigned to this theater. 16 ships are inbound, including 3 battleships, but the nearest is a minimum of 36 minutes away.
That'll be good enough. Keep Republic Command informed, Lieutenant. Battle might be over before they get here.
Schaefer returned his attention to the fleet.
Let's maintain fleet discipline and remember that there are 80 million civilians on Rock'em Vendette. Good fortune to you all, Schaefer announced. Fleet, jump.
And with that, 49 ships jumped into a conflict arena. As they emerged from the conduit, the gate on the Rock'em side was ablaze with destruction. Kadier ships were firing on each other with scant regard for their new arrivals. There appeared to be some focused targeting going on, but it was descending into a more chaotic affair, with individual skirmishes breaking out away from fleet discipline. The task force had emerged scattered around the gate, a little distance from the conflict, but still perilously close. Their formation was random at the moment and needed to be rectified.
Hannah!
On it, sir, Hannah replied, starting to organize the fleet, bringing them closer together. The strategic display activated, projecting a holographic representation into the clear space in the middle of the command center. Voight walked up to it and started assessing the operational theater. Lieutenant Maurizio, the Kadier are not responding to any communication handshakes. Switching to general broadcast, Maurizio responded. Open now.
Kadier Fleet, you are in Republic space in contravention of territorial accords. You are advised to head to Kadier territorial space immediately, Schaefer demanded. Whatever your conflict is over, it is not to be fought in Republic space. Now cease fire and separate away from each other.
The carnage continued without interruption, the Kadier ignoring the demand. Sir, HDR Lexington is taking fire.
Is the aggressor Holy Empire or State?
Holy Empire.
Good. Fleet, focus fire on targeted ship, Schaefer ordered. Kane.
Kane selected the aggressor from the cloud and fed data to the AIs throughout the fleet. All the ships in the fleet were now simultaneously targeting the same ship. Firing started with the Kadier ship unable to stand up to sustained firepower. It disintegrated in moments, spilling its crew into space.
Kadier fleet, last warning. Vacate Republic territory now, or we will use lethal force.
HDR Rourke is under fire. Now the Birmingham and the Herschel, Hannah informed. The whole fleet's coming under attack, from both Holy Empire and state ships.
Knew they wouldn't listen, Schaefer confided in Voight. Kane, there are 2 known countermeasure ships I can see. Target the Holy Empire one. Then select the closest Holy Empire battleship as a secondary.
Schaefer gestured to Voight, and she started analyzing the enemy targets, prioritizing them as best she could ascertain in the circumstances.
Fleet focus fire on the primary. Switch to secondary upon destruction, Schaefer ordered. Commander, any idea which ship is the flagship of that fleet?
No, sir. Tertiary target should be this battleship. Center of their fleet and outputting a lot of damage. Good candidate.
Tertiary target selected, Kane confirmed. Enemy countermeasure ship down.
Schaefer knew the countermeasure ship wouldn't last long. No matter their species, it was a common trait that they were the weakest ships. But they also had the greatest chance of causing significant disruption, so they were always the primary target.
Fleet battleship is new primary, Schaefer advised. Take it down.
The battleship was a different target altogether now. Built for frontline offense, it was heavily armed and heavily armored. HDR Rourke, under heavy fire, we cannot sustain this level of damage for long. Coming close to us, Rourke. We'll shield you, Voight answered. Sokolov, launch fighters and protect the Rourke.
Copy, Commander. Are the opposing fleet taking the bait? Schaefer asked Voight.
Looks like they're fighting both them and us.
Typical, Schaefer derided. Still, their attention's divided.
Rourke is down, Hannah updated. Damn, Voight cursed. Fighter group, defensive perimeters around the Liberator. The sustained firepower from the Kadier battleship proved to be too much, and the ship broke apart into several fragments, drifting away from each other.
Captain, detecting breach shuttles incoming, Denham yelled.
The Kadier had elected to cause disruption upon the Liberator. This made sense, as it was obviously the command ship, and any disruption they could cause would impede the whole fleet. The one problem the Kadier had was the sheer size of the ship. They wouldn't be able to make it to the command center easily, being located at the core of the ship. But there were other potential targets.
Doctor, inform Major Varma. Direct his soldiers to where the breach shuttles land, Schaefer decided. Fleet, select new primary target.
HDR Defoe under heavy fire, Hannah advised. Voight analyzed the strategic display. She instantly picked out 3 Kadier battlecruisers that were pummeling the Defoe. Switch target to these. They're state ships, but the ruse wasn't working, she admitted.
Agreed. Fleet, new targets, fire at will.
If they lost the Defoe, there was a crucial amount of their firepower gone. They had to protect it. The Defoe drew closer to the Liberator, and the Ocasio-Cortez moved around to cover the ravaged battleship. The 3 Kadier battlecruisers remained in a tight formation and started swerving away, as they came under sustained attack, pulling away to try and draw the fleet apart.
Switch target back to the battleship. Do not pursue the battlecruisers. They're trying to pull you away from the fleet.
An old tactic. Splint the fleet and try and isolate ships, made them easy targets. Captain Norris, how is the Defoe? Voight checked.
Damaged, but still fully operational. Most of the damage is on the ventral side, so we're exposed there.
Exchange places with the Avenger. Keep the ventral side facing the Liberator, Voight assigned. Schaefer nodded his approval at Voight. It was wise to make the swap. Keep the vulnerable side hidden and expose the toughest side to the enemy. Move the Hartman, Corinthian, Kemble and Portland across the dorsal flank to the rear of the fleet. The Kadier seem to be targeting them repeatedly. Bring the Wellington and Alacrity forward to replace them, Voight noted. Yes, sir, Hannah acknowledged, visibly stressed with the sheer volume of traffic she was dealing with. The second enemy battleship disintegrated under fire. Part of the structure repelled as such force it collided with a nearby ship, damaging that as well.
Captain Shin, HDR Zyman. We've lost our entire offensive capability, so we're sliding out.
Understood.
Captain Devart, HDR Shackleton, we're being primaried.
It seemed the Kadier were starting to reform into a more unified fighting force again, operating as a whole rather than as separate teams.
Pull back, Shackleton. Get behind the Intrepid. Alacrity move to replace the Shackleton.
It was going to be close. The Shackleton was being beaten hard, but it may well have the armor to withstand the formation change. By placing their ships between the Fire and the Shackleton, the intention was to shield it from further damage.
It's no good, Liberator. We're taking too much damage.
Understood. Slide out, Shackleton. Assess the situation and come back if you're able to.
It was close, but the Shackleton just managed to slide out before it was critically damaged. If the Kadier had any interdiction capability remaining, they were not using it. One of the countermeasure ships had been destroyed, but another remained. They could be holding back for a more strategically useful moment. If they activated it now, the ship generating the field would become the priority target, so it made sense for it to remain quiet and preserve the capability. It wasn't just what weapons you had in your arsenal, but when you used them.
Breaching shuttles making contact now, sir. Doctor, Major Varma is on his way.
This was a new phase of the conflict. It had been brutal and violent so far, lives being lost on both sides. But this was where combatants faced each other directly, where it could get especially brutal. Major Varma had the unenviable task of preventing the Kadier troops from getting anywhere near critical infrastructure, including the command center. If they succeeded, it could tip the balance in the favor of the Kadier.